August 12, 2025. Donetsk Oblast, Ukraine. Just before dawn, at approximately 0420 local time, Russian mechanized units launched a coordinated advance near the Avdiivka industrial sector, deploying a strike force of 30 main battle tanks supported by BMP-2 IFVs and mobile artillery. This was part of Russia's renewed effort to recapture lost ground in the southeastern axis of the Donetsk front after suffering repeated logistical failures throughout July. The column reportedly advanced from the Yasinuvata district, attempting to flank Ukrainian strongholds using a semi-obscured forest line west of Opitne. However, drone surveillance from Ukraine's 47th Mechanized Brigade detected the buildup hours earlier, allowing artillery to pre-target coordinates before the first tread even touched forward terrain. At 0452, HIMARS rockets struck the lead tank group near Coke Plant Highway, destroying 3 vehicles instantly and disabling the rear support armor from retreating. Within 7 minutes, Ukrainian FPV drones launched in coordinated waves, not just to strike tanks, but to jam communications and disable secondary vehicle optics. Infantry from Ukraine's 59th Motorized Brigade moved in under cover of low fog, targeting the immobilized armor with RPG-7V2 and NLAW systems, particularly near the intersection of Stepova Street. By 0538, Russian comms channels indicated panic. Intercepted audio revealed crews requesting permission to abandon vehicles due to fuel fires and anti-tank mine alerts. At 6:05, the Ukrainian General Staff confirmed 12 tanks had been neutralized or permanently disabled, with at least 5 more abandoned and later destroyed by drone-mounted charges. Only 12 tanks made it back across Russian lines, and none of them were intact. This wasn't just a tactical failure. It was a broadcasted collapse of coordination, with Russian command overestimating the terrain's cover and underestimating drone integration. One Ukrainian official told local reporters they sent a blind column into a battlefield that no longer hides anything. The sky sees all now. If 30 tanks can vanish in a single morning, how long before manpower follows? Do you think Russia is adapting fast enough, or are they still fighting yesterday's war? Let us know what you think in the comments below. By 6:20, what was supposed to be a Russian armored thrust had turned into a salvage operation. Ukrainian UAVs still hovered above, circling like buzzards, waiting for heat signatures to spike. And when they did, they dropped thermobaric mini-loads directly onto open hatches. Visual confirmation from Mavic 3 drones showed at least 2 crews ejecting themselves into ditches, waving down their own rear armor, only to be left behind as T-72Bs reversed under fire and vanished back behind tree lines. At 6:44, an explosion rocked the eastern bank of the Kalmius River. It wasn't Ukrainian fire. It was a Russian self-destruct protocol, remotely triggered to destroy an abandoned tank lodged in a ravine. They didn't want the Ukrainians analyzing the electronics, and they failed. Ukrainian EOD specialists secured the wreckage by 0711, extracting the onboard FCS, which analysts believe may contain software updates from Russia's Oberonprom modernization program, one of the Kremlin's most secretive military tech upgrades. Locals in Lastashkine reported hearing fireworks all morning, but these weren't fireworks. They were the echoes of a shattered strategy, breaking down in real time. Civilian footage posted to Telegram at 0739 shows a single Russian tank, on fire, dragging a mangled track as it limps through a narrow dirt road, one side missing entirely. Ukrainian tanks didn't need to chase it. Drones were watching it die, slowly. And the numbers? Out of 30 tanks that crossed the contact line, only 12 returned. 6 were confirmed destroyed beyond repair. 5 were detonated after abandonment. 7 remain in contested terrain, all captured on drone feed. A senior advisor to Ukraine's Tavria command described the engagement simply, "This was not a battle. This was a dissection. They moved in formation like a peacetime parade, and we filmed every step." How does an army this large still send tanks in the open without aerial superiority? Comment below. Is this bravery or denial? By 0803, the Russian command in Rostov Oblast attempted what appeared to be a reactive counter-drone measure. A Zala 421-16E2 drone launched from a field battery just north of Yakovlivka, reportedly on a seek and disable mission. But it never made it beyond Ukrainian air denial zones. 2 kilometers into contested airspace, it was taken out by a Starstreak missile, fired from a mobile unit hidden in a burnt-out farm tractor near Zhyvern. A perfect decoy setup filmed and later posted by Ukraine's 47th Mechanized Brigade. By 8:17, Ukraine's 53rd Brigade moved in from the flanks, not to attack, to retrieve. Engineers with Leleka 100 feeds were guiding ground crews to the most intact Russian wrecks for immediate seizure. The goal wasn't salvage, the goal was study. Battlefield footage shows a Russian tank with unit markings of the 36th Motor Rifle Brigade, mostly intact but half buried in mud. It had no crew, no shelling damage. It had been abandoned at full fuel, likely during a panic retreat. Why does that matter? Because it confirms what Ukraine suspected, that the Russian crew received an unexpected order to pull back mid-assault, likely after realizing their rear support was compromised. Meanwhile, civilians in Orlivka were posting new videos. One captured at 0822 shows a column of Ukrainian medics carrying out wounded Russian soldiers on stretchers. No blood, just silent faces, held in pause. In one video, a soldier with a Vostok battalion patch is clearly visible, staring blankly into the lens. It's the most human moment in the entire offensive, and it wasn't on a drone. It was from a woman's old iPhone, proof that war always leaks. Ukraine military spokesman issued a formal report at 0836. The Russian Federation committed approximately 30 armored units to the assault. A third of these were destroyed. Another third were left behind. Their plans were visible before they moved. They never had a chance. That report was time-stamped. And minutes later, a final drone pass over Vodyan sector captured a chilling image. 5 Russian soldiers walking single file, hands above their heads, toward Ukrainian lines. No one was guarding them. They had chosen surrender over silence. By 9:01, Russian military telegram channels began to go quiet. Not because the assault was over, but because it failed so publicly that silence became the only damage control. Accounts like Rybar and Fighter Bomber deleted earlier posts about advancing armor toward Avdiivka. One pro-Kremlin analyst edited a message, operational maneuver redirected for strategic regrouping, but footage of burning tanks in Stepo fields had already gone viral in Ukrainian networks. There was no regrouping, only withdrawal. At 9:09, Ukraine released its own summary, a 3D battle map visualization showing the exact tank paths and their point of failure. The biggest mistake? Russian units advanced through a low valley near Kamyanka, believing Ukraine had vacated it. What they didn't know, and what OSINT later confirmed, was that the valley had been seeded 2 days earlier with miniature FPV mines, disguised as irrigation pipe ends. When the 7th tank crossed, the mines auto-triggered in sequence. It wasn't tech, it was psychology. They knew how Russian columns react to momentum. At 9:21, official loss statement by Ukrainian MOD. Of the 30 armored units deployed in this axis, 12 are confirmed destroyed, 7 immobilized, 3 captured intact, 8 returned to Russian-controlled territory. Estimated personnel loss, classified. But raw numbers tell only part of the story. At 9:33, a Ukrainian drone captured something chilling. A Russian soldier, possibly no older than 19, standing alone in a muddy field, waving his shirt tied to a broken rifle. Behind him, smoke columns from 6 tanks. Ahead of him, silence. He wasn't running. He wasn't hiding. He was walking toward Ukrainian positions, arms raised. The footage ends as medics rush in. This was the second major Russian armor push into Avdiivka's southern flank in August, and the second to be repelled within hours. But this one was different. It wasn't just destroyed hardware. It was an exposed failure in strategy, morale, and information warfare. By 9:45 a.m., the US-based Institute for the Study of War, ISW, updated its battlefield summary with a single chilling sentence. Russian ground forces underestimated not Ukraine's weapons, but Ukraine's timing. Was this the result of a flawed plan? Or did Ukraine just rewrite modern defense using drones, timing, and terrain?